Okay, welcome back to another part, everyone. Now that we have created the responsive navbar and a header section and an app drawer, we will move on to the next part where we will actually get an API key from the movie database, and I will show you how to do that, and then we will start working with the API key. So let's go ahead and go to the movie database, TMDB. So this is the website, the moviedb.org. And if you are new, you can just go click on join, and you just provide a username, a password, and your email address. Make sure the email address is valid, because you will get an confirmation link. So make sure you use a valid email access that you have access to, so you can actually confirm and log into this, and then you can get the API key. So for now I have already signed up, so I'm just gonna go login, and I will show you once you sign up you will take to this page, which I will be taken soon when I log in. So here it is. Yeah, you will be brought to this page. Nothing special here, don't worry about this. We have to do nothing here. All we gotta do is we go into this power type of button, we click on it, you go to settings, click on the settings, and then if you look on this side drawer here, this sidebar, all you have to do is go on to API, click on API. Here it is. You're just gonna need this API key. So that's all we need to actually do everything over here. Whatever we're doing, we're fetching these movies and TV shows, all is happening using this API key. So we're gonna copy this API key. This is my API key. Obviously I have to blur it out, I'm not going to show it to you, but you will get your unique API key, and then you can just wherever I'm using my API key, you can just paste your API key instead. So let's go ahead and copy this, go back to the code, and now we are gonna create another file inside the modules folder that we create. If you remember in the previous videos, we're gonna create a new file. We're gonna name it API links, camel case links .ts. so it's a TypeScript file, it's not a JavaScript file. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna create a variable for our API key, so we can reuse this API key everywhere inside our app. We will name it API key, and remember guys, API key will be used as a string, so keep it inside double quotations as a string, so this API will be a string. Right now, one more thing, we have to export it, so we have access to this key in another component, just like we have learned how we can export and import stuff into other components. So this is the API key. Let's give it a comment, and if you wanna know a way of like how to write these cool comments that I'm doing here with these, you can use the another extension from VS Code, which is called the better comments. I'll show you that in a minute. There it is. I've already searched it, better comments. Just search better comments, install this, and then you will have access to these nice comments. It's really useful to make colorful comments, just like if you have a to-do. Look at that, that's a really nice color. So it just stands out. So I'm gonna use red here for this. And now what are we gonna do next is, let's decide this, is we're gonna export some endpoints from this file, so we can access them into other files. We are calling these those endpoints. For example, what I mean by that is, now playing movies are coming from an endpoint, so we will declare another variable here with now playing that will have the movies from the database which are coming from now playing, right? So we have now streaming, this is now playing page. Let's go into the home page. So we're gonna have an endpoint of trending, which will fetch all the trending movies for the week. We're gonna have an endpoint of upcoming movies, which will fetch all the upcoming movies. We're gonna have an endpoint of popular, top rated, trending shows, and so on. So let's go ahead and do it for the movies first. Movies endpoints. And to do this, I have actually copied them here. this is, you can search from Google, or all you have to do is use that link. If you go to the home page of this, the movie database.org, as you can see, http/api the movie database.org 3 trending movies of the week, and you're just changing trending to movie for upcoming, movie now playing, movie popular. So we're gonna copy this. You guys can also copy exactly how it is over here. So we're gonna paste that here. Now what we are doing here, just like the API key, we are also exporting these endpoints. So now we have a variable called trending, which stores the trending movies from the API link. Upcoming, which stores the upcoming movies from the API link. This week movies, it should be now playing rather than this week, but I kept it as this week. So because I have a now playing as different, well, looks like I have now playing twice. Yes, I have now playing twice, so I have to see. Let's just get rid of this week. Because I named it this week here, but if you look at it, it's the same endpoint. So movies now playing, so we don't really need that. And now let's go ahead, do the same for the TV shows. I have them in my notes, so I'm gonna copy that. Actually, not cut. Copy them, and I'm gonna close these notes. Let's go to the file again, and same thing. We are exporting the endpoint of trending shows. Now you can see that instead of movie, we have got TV, and TV. Over here we have movie. So now const trending shows endpoint is stored inside this variable, popular shows is inside this, and inside this, and inside that. So now we have got that sorted. We will go ahead and start creating the display component, which will be responsible to display these movies. So let's go ahead inside of a component folder. Oh, so my bad, we're not gonna create a folder. Let's create a file inside this, and we call it display container .tsx. You can name it whatever you want, guys. It's totally up to you. There's nothing that you have to exactly copy from what I'm doing. You can come up with your own name. Actually, I think the better name would be display items than the display container, because we'll be displaying items from the API. And again, if you have seen my previous video, what I do, I use this React snippet, so RAFCE, which means like React arrow function component export. Press enter. So it's a shortcut to actually create a component quickly. And inside this, we are gonna be displaying our result. So first thing first, we are gonna do is, let's create a wrapper. So we're gonna call it movie shows wrapper. So if you have seen my previous video, this is user defined, so we are defining it. What is this for? This is for styling this whole component. So we also gonna create another file for this inside our CSS in our style folder, just like we did for header. Let's go to styles, new files, display items modules ts. And again, here we have to import. Actually, we can just do every style in one rather than just defining different files. So we can keep things in one container, which will be the header module ts, and we can rename it to styles. and this will automatically be renamed inside the header component. If you have a look at it, there it is, styles. And let's import that as well. Import. Now what we're gonna import from here, this part is for the navbar, so we'll comment it out for header.tsx file. And we can say header.tsx file ends. Now we can go and give it the display items.tsx starts, and over here we'll do export. What we have named it, movie shows wrapper. So export that, and we're gonna export that as a div, style.div, those quotation marks, and close it. So movie shows wrapper. We have a style from style component. Okay, my bad, const. So now that's exported. Now we can actually import it here. Import movie show wrapper. So it will stop screaming, since now it's know that we have actually defined that file in another file. So inside this, what we want to do is, first of all, we are gonna create a heading section. So let's go ahead and see what we have here. So we have this, which we're passing as pros, which is a heading, and then we have the movie card. So let's go ahead and create a class called, there's another way of creating a div. You can just go dot movie heading, press enter. That's like a quick way of declaring a div with a class. So inside this, we will give it an h1, and we will name it heading for now. But remember guys, later on we will be passing the data dynamically here, so we won't like use heading here. We will use this bracket, and then we'll pass the data inside this using the API. So for now I'm just declaring it like that, and let's go ahead. This div is done. Now we are gonna go ahead and create a movie card. So just like that, dot movie card, and inside the movie card, what we have here is, we have an image, we have a percentage, we have title of that, and we have date. So let's go and create, we actually gonna render the items here later on, and the percentage as well. So this is gonna be done via mapping. So let's actually start fetching the information as we do it, because I don't want to make it too complicated for you than doing this part and then doing the other part later. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete everything inside this, and now we're actually gonna start working with the API. So we have to, in order to use this API, we have to check on the console what's actually coming from the API. So first of all, we're gonna actually do a fetch function here that actually shows what we have inside that API, right? So let's go ahead and write a console.log so we can fetch that information, what is actually expecting from the API. So let's go ahead and try to console log the information from the API link, and to do that we are gonna import, actually why we do that here, we can do that in the app, because since the app is rendering everywhere. So what are we gonna do here, we're gonna import API key from those API links that we have declared here, and my API key is up there. I'm not gonna show it to you, but API key, and then we also gonna export one of the API endpoint. So let's fetch trending movies, and if you go there, trending, and now let's try to console log this information with the help of the fetch function. So what we're gonna do is now we're gonna come down here and we're gonna store the the API key and the API endpoint together, because right now we cannot fetch them like this. So we have to go const URL, and we're gonna use this quotation and what do you call string literals actually, and $, and we're gonna pass it the API endpoint trending, and then with the question mark the link is expecting an API / underscore key, and over here you can even pass your key as a string here, like you can just copy paste your key, but since I have stored my API key inside a variable, what I'm gonna do is call that variable here, and now this URL have access to the trending endpoint from the movie database, and it also has the API key. So now we're gonna do is we are gonna, because right now if you go to the console there's nothing here. What we are actually trying to do, we'll see the console log and the information here from the endpoint. So let's go ahead and use the fetch function from JavaScript. Fetch, what we are fetching, the URL that I declared here, and fetch takes 10. What we want to do, then we want to get a response and an arrow function, and we're gonna store the response at the JSON data, right? And again we're gonna use dot, then that data should be stored displayed as a console.log, and inside the data you can format this. This looks nice. So I fetched the URL using this endpoint and API key, and I'm expecting a response from that. The response is coming as a JSON data, and then I'm storing that into data, and then I'm printing that data. So let's go ahead and have a look. We got something here. There it is. We have got some response from the endpoint, and here we have got a result. You can see there are 20 elements. We can only fetch maximum of 20 elements from an API. Above 20 we need pagination, which we will be doing in this section. So as you can see, we have 20 endpoints here, and then we have the first one is the movie Flash, Barbie, Transformers, Oppenheimer, and this is all coming from the endpoint. So now the reason why we're doing this, because we want to check what type of data we are expecting from the endpoint, right? So if we're fetching trending movies, what does it contain? So here it is, the Flash, the first element contains these information. What we're not going to use all of this, because we are actually going to use a movie picture, which will be the backdrop path, a percentage, an average, a title, and a date. So that will be the release date. So we go back to that. What we are expecting is an ID, of course. So we can just go ahead and write it down here. What we can actually do, we can start declaring an interface. Now that's where the TypeScript actually start. So we will declare an interface for movie or shows. Let's just name it movie for now, movies. And what we are expecting from the endpoint is an ID. So we'll get an ID, which is what? Which is a number. The blue is number, the greenish blue, sky blue is kind of, or cyan is a string. So ID would be a number, And what else we're gonna fetch? We're gonna fetch original language. Now we're gonna need original title, or do we have title? Yes, we have title. So let's go ahead and get title as a string. And what else do we need? Poster path. We definitely need the image, so we're gonna have a poster path images as a string. So we're gonna make sure it matches exactly as your endpoint name, otherwise you will have issues later on. So poster path would be a string, and title we got the date. I think we need the date, release date, so we also need the release date. Release date is a string, yes. And you can see that the date is inside in like an American format, so you have the year, first, month, and the day. We also gonna change this to the standard date format, which will be the day, month, and the year. So we're gonna do that as well. And what else we need is the average, vote average, which will determine the percentage of how much vote this movie has. And I'm assuming that's a number. So in TypeScript we don't use float or doubles, we just use number as number. So these are the things we're expecting from the movie. Now let's also check what we're expecting for the TV show. So let's come here, and rather than importing trending, we will import trending shows. So there goes there, and it should change now. Refresh. Okay, looks like my Mac has frozen. There we have. Now what we have got here, yes, we have got TV show there. You can see Secret Invasion, Special Ops, Futurman, I don't know. And let's see what is a show is expecting. So anything different here is no, poster path is same. The only thing is different here for the show is that it doesn't have a title, it has a name, and its release date. Where is the release date? It has, instead of release date, it has got first air date. So we're gonna copy these two things for the TV show, and we're gonna keep that within this. So I'm gonna comment out here for TV shows release date, which would be string because there is string, and it has a name, not title, I believe. Let me just double check. Name, yes. So name would be a string. So this is for the TV show, and now we don't need this. Now we know what we are expecting when we actually rendering the data. So and the title has to be a string, this has to be there. If it was TypeScript, we wouldn't be doing this. I mean JavaScript, in JavaScript we wouldn't be doing this. We will just fetch the data, and then I don't know, God knows the mess that it creates later on. You don't even know where the error is coming from, and it saves your times when you're using TypeScript. It actually lets you know that you're probably not importing this component is expecting that, but you're not providing it that. And if you're providing it that, it should be a number, not a string. So this, I should be doing this inside the other component, so I'll just copy this. So you always declare your interface above your component declaration, and we don't need this. We also don't need this in here because we were just testing it here because the app is already rendering rather than just calling display in here, so we just did it here. Types for API data, let's make it stand out. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is Now we use the fetch function, but we will be using AXIOS, so we need to install AXIOS. npm install AXIOS to our project. It's pretty easy. npm AXIOS. Okay, that's been installed quickly. Let's go check the package JSON. We go version 1.4.0. Now hide the terminal that we have AXIOS. We can actually import AXIOS from AXIOS, and there's some other stuff that we're gonna do, but for now let's just because we're gonna use use states to store the endpoint values inside the display container. So that's how we will be able to display the information, because right now that's just coming from an endpoint. We need a use state variable, so we are going to display const show items from the database set show items. So when you're declaring a use state, you have to follow this convention where your other next name also the same, but you have got a set show, and it follows the camel case notation. And let's import react.use state. Now here there's a thing. What we're gonna do is, now that we're gonna have a use effect function which will set the API endpoint to set shows, and then the set shows will pass the information to show item. So this show item will have access to everything inside that everything that coming from the database, right? But now we have to pass it we have to tell it that you are expecting these and as these. So you're expecting ID as number and that. So what we're gonna do here is, we're gonna declare the types to this. We're gonna actually pass this here like this, and then this movie interface will be passed here. We don't do it like this, just once, and it will pass as an array element, and inside this it will have an array element value as well. So that done. Now we will start create another use state for our pagination. So for example, you have seen that if you go to popular, we have this pagination here. So there's another use state. So let's go ahead and create that. Const page set current page. That's again react dot. Rather than using react dot use state, what we can do is we can just call it here use state, and then we don't have to use react dot state because we have just passed it here. State, and by default we wanna be on page 1. Let's go ahead, and we also need how many pages, number of pages that we wanna display, which is from the API, like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So I think this is the total pages that we are displaying here is 16. So another const variable, I'm just going to copy that down. Total pages. Wow. Set total pages. That's also starting from 1, and now we also going to provide it a loading state. So that is the loading. So const loading, set loading, and use state. By default it's false because we don't want to show loading every time. So if it's true, then it will just keep spinning here. So let's go ahead. Now that we have done that, we can go ahead and let's use the use effect hook actually. to do the pagination and fetch the data from there. So we can also pass use effect here, and now we'll be using AXIOS and use effect here. So let's say pagination from the API. I like to keep commenting my code so you know what you guys when you look at it, so you're not just straight away looking at what you're actually doing. So use effect, inside the use effect we will declare, we will actually use the fetch moves with the asyncs await. I use the async await promises. So let's go ahead, const fetch movies async, which is an arrow function, and here we will use try catch. Is important when you're dealing with the API, so you can actually caught an error and see what's wrong with your call. AXIOS dot get, and what are we passing to this is string literal, the API endpoint, which we will be declaring soon. API endpoint. So this is supposed to be the API endpoint that you're passing. So let's say for this time we'll just pass it trending. So after that we can open this, and inside this to the params we can get the page of the current page. So we can set the page as the current page. And now we can do const result total pages response from the data, and here we're gonna set show items, which is this. So we are actually storing the result inside this, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna restore the result dot slice, use the slice function. So we're gonna show how many pages you want to show here, which will be passing by pros, but for now we'll just go 0 and 16 because we're using 16. Results actually not that. And now we're gonna set total pages to total pages. So one more thing we're gonna use the set timeout. This is because I am using like 2 second interval while it's loading, so it has to load for 2 seconds. Actually 1 second or 2 seconds, is up to you, whatever time you want to set. So we're gonna set timeout and set loading, which is our loading state, this one, and then we're gonna set loading to true here. And we're gonna pass the time in thousands. So thousands mean 1 second, 2000 mean 2 seconds, so we're gonna keep it to 1000, and after that we're gonna catch the error. So you could see that it was screaming up until this point, because when you're using try, it's expecting a catch as well. So console.log, It's up to you where you wanna actually log the error, console.error, or you wanna display it to the user what's the actual error, but user wouldn't understand what an API error would look like. So error, you're fetching movies, error. How's that? Why the total pages are unused? Because of this. It's supposed to be this total pages, they're passing to that, not this total pages. So now that we have done that, after that we gonna call the fetch movies function. And now we have to pass our use effect some values, which will be trending, that's our API endpoint, current page, and 16. Trending either excluded, removed. Trending is included, excluded or removed the dependency area, the space value like errand. So it's saying these dependencies are not necessary. So trending isn't necessary, this isn't necessary, only current page is expecting for now. Now that we have that, we will go ahead and we'll first declare a function that will change the date, because we were expecting date as the American standard, this release date. So let's go ahead and do a function that will change the date. To change the date format. Function formatted date, you can name it whatever you want. Date string, passing it some attribute. So date string, as it could be string, number, and date type. So this is, we are telling it that date string we are expecting it could be a number, it could be a string, or a date type. So date has a different, its own type in TypeScript. So options, let's create an object here which will take year as numeric and month as short, day as also numeric. So after that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna provide it a type as int international date time format options intl, my bad. Now we're gonna create a variable cost. Do we have to import this numeric month short days type of date time format option? May be a mistake because show less with if this types interface. No, that's not the right solution to this. So let's go ahead, create another date object, new date, string, and return Okay, string en options. So we have made a mistakes inside that object somewhere. We got cons option, we got year, numeric, we have got month, we have got day, we have got it as international.datetime options. What is going on here is, there it is. Just one typo, man, come on. That's what coder does, man. One typo can just take so long to find what's actually going on. Anyways, we have got the get formatted date function, which will actually sort out the date in the international date format. So we won't be seeing the year and the month and the day at the end. Why do I have this here? So now that's out of the way, we can actually go ahead and let's actually define some types up there, so we can actually reuse this function, this component in other components. So what I'm gonna do is, rather than passing this pages 16, well, I'm actually passing it 16 pages everywhere, but let's say if the user wanna pass it more than 16, like 20 pages, so he have option to actually do that. So we also gonna do that here. So let's go ahead and declare the interface for the props that we're gonna pass. So let's go const alright, interface props, and we're gonna store this. Right now we are just calling the trending, but what we are gonna do, we're gonna pass these API links as a prop, so we don't have to like call each one of them. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pass them as API endpoint. So we are not actually importing anything here, but we're gonna leave it like this for now. So we're gonna create another const variable which will store them endpoint as a string, and this would be for the movies, how many movies we're gonna pass. Right now we're passing it 60, but we're gonna leave it to the user, the actual whoever. Let's say in the future we want to pass it 20 movies, then we'll just have an option to actually pass 20 movies. We don't have to come here and change it, we can actually pass that via props. So what I mean is, we have 18 movies here. What if I want to have 20 movies in this card? So we have that option enabled. So we can go here, number of movies. I don't know why I'm saying it movies, it's TV shows as well, but let's just keep it movies so we don't get confused. And that would be a number. And now we're gonna have another prop, because you can see here we have these buttons. So we're gonna have a prop that which will allow this component whether we want to pass these buttons or not, because in some cases in other pages we are not using the buttons. Here we are actually not using the button. So we're gonna pass a prop here which will control that whether we should pass the buttons or not. Show buttons, which will be a boolean value because it's gonna be true or false, and TV show on, also gonna be a boolean. What is this prop gonna do is this gonna determine when we actually render the movies and TV shows inside this. So what it's gonna determine is whether we are passing it a movie or TV shows. So if TV show is true, then it will render the TV shows. If movies is true, that it will display the movies. So TV show is boolean, and same for the movies. movies on a boolean value, and item heading, this is going to be a string. So what is this going to do is, this would be the heading that we are going to display inside this, and that would be this. So whatever you're going to name it, it will be here. So since we are making this component is reusable, and this is the component that is responsible for rendering these movies, so everything happening inside this one component, all is changing is the prop value. You are passing it to that. Now that we have those props, we can actually assign their props to this component. So what we're gonna do here is react dot functional, FC is short for functional component, and then you can pass the data prop here. So now what's gonna happen is, if I call this display item component inside app, it's gonna ask it to pass those props. Display items. So you see that type is missing the following properties from the data props. It's asking for API endpoints, number of movies, show button, TV shows, and 2 more. So what is it saying now? That now I have provided it these types or these props typing. Every time I'm calling this component anywhere, it should take props for these values, so those can come here and then you can pass it to that, right? And then what are we gonna do is, inside this we again gonna call those props. So let's go API endpoint. It's already know that. IntelliSense is smart enough. Show buttons, movies, false but inside the curly braces. So now you can see that it's still trying. Like I have used all of these, but TypeScript is strict and it's telling me that API endpoint is not a number. The number is not assignable to a type string because API endpoint has to be a string, and item heading also has to be a string. And now what I have done here, I've passed it a boolean value. So that's the beauty of TypeScript. So you are actually looking at the errors while you're actually coding, so you don't have to like run your app and then find out on the browser that what's going on here, there's something not right. Probably, oh, this is not the result I was expecting, because you could pass different values to the different expected types, right? Now let's go ahead and Control Z all of this. So this is the right type, and if I go to the app and I'll show you, let's go back to the display items, and now whatever we're gonna pass here is gonna be displayed. So let's go in H1 would be heading, item heading. So let's pass the item heading. Can we see that here? Not yet. So this hello should be visible over there, but it's not. Or is it maybe underneath this nav bar, because we haven't provided a CSS style. So let's go ahead and try to give it styles, position, relative, top 100 pixels. There it is. Like I said, it was hidden behind that because the margin is 0 there. So now we can see, let's apply this to a div so you guys can see what I'm actually doing here and what is happening. I'm gonna take so much time, for the video is gonna be longer, because I hope I can make you understand what we are doing here. So let's declare a div, give this div those styles, pass this here. So now the item heading is hello because I'm passing it as a prop here. Let's just say I am popular movies there, and the endpoint will be https I am the endpoint link. And if we go here, let's display the API endpoint here. So I am the link. So as you can see that if it was JavaScript, what would happen here is, without this strict type checking, we could provide this API endpoint number like this, and then it would still display the number over here on the app. It wouldn't tell me that this is not actually right. So let's go ahead and delete everything. We don't want to call it. We're just gonna start implementing our app. So the next thing we're gonna wanna do is we actually gonna come here and add that loading state to our component. So let's go ahead and do that. So what we can do here is, now we're gonna set up the loading state as well. So you can see that loading overlay. So first thing we're gonna do is add that loading overlay, and in order to do that, we're gonna import the circle progress. So let's just do it again, import circular progress from MUI material, and then we're gonna come down here. So remember guys, this is the return, this return statement is responsible for everything here, this whole card. So everything is happening over here is inside that. And so we're gonna do that. We're gonna go, we already have a loading state. If you scroll up, we set up a loading state. If loading state is true, while the data is loading, it should display this loading overlay that I'm gonna create now, which would be the circular progress. It's a self-closing tag, and it takes a size prop. We're gonna give it a size of 50 for now, and a color of probably, these are the color it holds. Warning is the yellowish color, so we're gonna keep that. And we also gonna give it maybe like a title, so we give it loading. It's the text that display under that spinner. So this circle progress is that spinner, and this is the text below that spinner. Actually, we should be defining this inside a div class, because we're gonna provide it a flex class. So they are flex class with the property of column, so they are above, like on top of each other. This one is on top of loading. So let's go ahead and div class name overlay. And let's get the div from there and display it here. So with that, now if the loading is occurring, then we display the spinner. Otherwise, we wanna do else is that we wanna render everything else within these two. So that's how it's gonna happen, but I shouldn't be doing that here. So we have set up the loading, and if loading is occurring, then this div will get rendered, right? And else we have the fragments, and this should be closing here. So I don't know why that's happening. Maybe it's because of this div. What am I doing wrong here now? So the else class. So this is this part. That is that. And else statement is this. Okay, my bad. So we had it twice. Now everything inside this fragments is what we will be shown when the loading is done. So let's go ahead and start creating this. So we'll start off with a div called movie heading, and inside this we will call it h1 tag. And like I said before, that's what we were gonna do. Now we will pass the props here. So items heading is the prop that's coming from item heading, and it's passed to this prop. So wherever this component will be used, we can pass the item props from there. I mean the item heading from there. So the item heading is done. Now we can go ahead and create another div, which will be the movie card, which is this whole movie card div. Let's have a look at it. This card containing the images, percentage, and everything. So inside this card we are gonna map the all movie item which are currently stored into show item. So if you remember, we set this we declared this use state, which is actually have all the types that we are expecting from the API, and then with the help of AXIOS and use effect function, we are actually storing the data from the API 16 items into this, and the set show. Now this show items currently holds everything that this function is fetching. So we're gonna go inside the movie card. We're gonna map it here. Show items dot map. and we gonna go call it items, and remember the key prop, so that's the index. Oh, what happened there? So inside this, what we are gonna do is now we're gonna get the percentage for the vote. So this is a variable that we're doing within that return the mapping. So const percentage. Now the items holds everything, so item holds the vote average. I'm going to get the vote average divided by 10 and times it by 100 to get the average out of 100. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna have a return statement. Because without the return statement it would start screaming, because now we have two return statement within a return statement, because we are actually mapping again inside the return statement. So over here it's still screaming because we need to add fragments. Everything inside the return statement should be inside fragments. Now here we gonna declare another class. We're gonna name it movie, and over here we should actually provide the props over here rather than providing it up there. So I'm gonna delete this, and inside this class I'm gonna go key items, and the props we are getting is we don't have to declare the index because right now we have ID for that key prop. So we have an ID which we're getting from the API, so we can use that as a key. So items dot ID. Now we're gonna create another div for the image, and inside that we're gonna call that img, and for the source we are gonna use something that I've got from Google. Let's just self-close the image tag first. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna use the string literals and provide it this address: https image.tmdb.org/t/p/ the width 200 for the movie. And then how we're gonna provide it a path for the movies we're getting from the items, because we just want to provide it the images related to what we are fetching. So items slash, we can use this notation here, and then items dot poster path. So it can take the poster path. Now it's still screaming because it's expecting alt, and we can say img. Okay, that's my bad. So let's format that. Now we have an image. Now what we want is to do this percentage, we're gonna have a span. So span would be now the percentage. We want to items dot vote average because we have already stored that inside this variable, but now we want to show that percentage. Right now the percentage would be like more than 3 decimal 4 decimal points, so we're gonna get that to fixed to zeros and show it the percentage sign. Now that we have that done, so inside this image we're gonna go outside that image class and we're gonna create another class for movies info, which will be the name and the date. Movie info. And now here we're gonna pass it that value that we are actually using as a prop, so whether movies on. So if we're gonna use movies on or TV shows on, how we can do that is, if we want to show the movies when the movies on is true, then we will again use the fragments. Then we're gonna show h4 items dot title, and the date would be shown in a p tag, so that would be, now if you remember that we have changed the date format using this function, so we're gonna call that function here. Items dot release date. So it's gonna get the date from the API and it's gonna pass that date to this function, and these functions have this functionality to change that date to the international format rather than the US format. So once that's done, now we have done for the movies, because the TV shows and release for the TV show, the release date and the title is different. Why is different? Because for the TV shows we have name, not title, and we have first air date, not release date. So what we're gonna do here, now we're gonna fetch the TV show on, and another fragment open. We can literally just copy paste this code inside this and change this to name and change this to first air date. I accidentally copied the fragment as well. So there we have the TV shows, and that's it for the whole component. But we still need to add buttons, because we are also showing the buttons at some occasions here. So let's add that as well. So after this we are gonna come here, because that's still happening inside the movie class, so make sure you are inside the movie card. And here we are gonna go show buttons. Let's create a class for buttons, and we're also gonna show the current page. If the current page is greater than 1, then we gonna render the button. I didn't use the MUI button here, I created a custom button, so I'll show you how to do that as well. So this is the previous button. It should have an on click event, of course, so we will provide a function prev items page, and the name of this button will be back. So if there's a condition again, if the current page is greater than 1, then we will see the back button, otherwise we won't see the back button. And then we in the middle we wanna show a page which will be inside the B tag. So current page. So what I did there is I've added a back button which is only visible when you have a page more than one. So now you're page 1. This is what telling you that it's page 1. So this page is this, and the current page is coming from the API. So when I press next, this condition becomes true, and now I can see the back button, so I can go back. And after this, I need to again show the next button, so I can copy this, but this time we're not gonna check that. If this time we're gonna check if it's less than the total pages. So next item pages, and now we need to define a function, an on-click function for this, which is actually does the back and forward handling. So let's go ahead and before the date, or maybe let's do it at the end, so we do it after the wait. Previous page button const previous. Let's go declare an arrow function, and what is this gonna do is if the current page is less than the total pages, then what we're gonna do is set the current pages to next page, and next page two plus 1. If current page is less than the, why is it not right here? Because of my function. So if current page is less than the total pages that available on the API, then we can actually go to the next page because there are so many pages available. And same, we can just copy this down, next page, and in this case we're gonna do it more than just one page, and all you're gonna do is take away 1. Next page button. So now that we have everything, we will just have a look at it, and now we actually gonna call this function inside the app, and let's see how it looks like. But we're still gonna pass it some props. So first we have to actually declare some API endpoints, so we can actually pass those values as this. So we also should pass number of movies to this, and API endpoint to this. Right, now that we have created this display component, display item component, we want to make sure that what we have done is actually working. And I noticed that there is something going on with use effect dependencies as missing dependency. Yes, because now we have passed it some other props like API endpoint. Before it was just 16, and number of movies, so now it's expecting those as well. So API endpoint number of movies. And now that this component is complete, all we need to do is just do the CSS for this to style it properly. But we're gonna want to have a check if it's actually working, the fetching is working, the movies, whatever we are fetching here, like the images are actually coming as expected, the percentage working as expected, the title, everything. So what we're gonna do is let's go into the app component, say f5. The app.tsx is responsible to render everything, so we just gonna, since we already rendering this header file here, so underneath that, actually let's just bring that here. So underneath that we are gonna import display items. Like in my previous video example, I talked about how it's expecting these missing props which we declared up here, these API endpoints, number of movies, show buttons, movies. So what we can do here is we can pass it an API endpoint which will be trending. So this is coming from the API links, right, where I have the API links. So it could be trending, upcoming, popular, whatever you like. And the second prop it's was expecting is number of movies that you want to see. Let's say I want to only show 2 movies. And what are the other props? Show buttons, movies, on, TV shows, on, item heading. So these are the props that whether you are displaying TV shows or movies. So based on that we are actually getting this endpoint from the movies. So we are now showing movies, so movies on will be true. And then if we go to the next prop, that will be TV show on, which will be falsy. And last one would be item heading. Actually I don't think that's the last one, there's one more which is the show button. But item heading, which would be, because we are fetching the trending movie, so we can name it trending movies. And now it's still expecting another prop which is show button, and we don't want to show buttons right now, we'll just leave it false. So now it's okay. Let's go have a look at it, and we don't see anything, but we're still seeing loading. And I think let's try to put some gap between header. We use br tag for now, but this is not the right approach. We will change it with the CSS. As you can see, the loading spinner is working because the data is still being fetched, but it's not gonna display it because I think I'm not providing it my API key, because all I'm doing is just giving it this endpoint, just this link also expecting an API key, otherwise there's no point of working with that database, right? So I think what should I do is I should also import my API key from that API links file, and instead of this we'll use the string literals, template literals, and we'll do trending and API key, which would be equal to API key. Let's go ahead and have a look. There we go, that's working. So we are now fetching 2 movies only, since I provided the value of 2. That's why I give it a prop, gave this value a prop, not like a hardcode value. I give it a prop, so it's up to me wherever I want pass it like 2 movies, whether I want to show 10 movies. So let's say 10 movies. Now we have 10 movies. Don't worry about the styling, we will just fix that soon, because right now we're just checking that what we are actually doing is working. We are literally fetching the data from the movie database, so it's working. We have a trending movies, which is the title, item heading. This could be Hollywood movies. Now that changes, so that's how you can change it. We have a percentage, flash code 69, and the release date, Barbie is there with 76. Now I want to match it with my other website percentage, whether it's actually true or not. So let's go ahead and check. Yep, trending 69 for flash, 76 for Barbie, 69 for flash, 70. So that's pretty accurate. So that's how we can do it. Let's say if you wanna pass another endpoint, you want to render something else, not trending. So what would you do is, let's say we want popular, so we can go here, we can replace the trending with popular. Now it already have my API key, so now we're gonna have popular movies here. Barbie is popular. I don't know why Flash is still popular. It was a Bollywood, Hollywood disaster. I mean, even in India was a disaster, but the movie was good. I don't know. So we got these movies that are in popular, which are different than the other. So that's how you can do it. Let's say if we want TV shows, if we turn on TV shows true, see now we got invalid date because we are rendering everything in one component. So we have to set movies to false, and I'll show you why we're getting the invalid again, because invalid date and title is not even appearing, because movies, where we're fetching the movies is expecting a title, but the TV show expecting a name, and movies has a release date, TV shows have a first air date, right? And also the endpoint is for movie, not for the TV show. So let's get something for the trending shows. There we go. Now we have TV shows, Secret Invasion, the airing date. See, we didn't even do anything. We're just still using this one component with this condition. So that's it. That's how you can actually render things conditionally. And we forgot about the buttons, so let's test the buttons. The button would be all the way to the end, I guess. There it is. There's only back button. I'm not seeing the next button. Why is that? Lucky we testing it, so we don't just find errors all the way to the end when we've done everything. The next item page, previous item page, where is going on with the button, show buttons, tail class greater than 1, previous item page. So previous item page function should be if less than that, the next page, if that, then that's a different page. Next item. Okay, I've done the other way around, I think. Yes. So this previous item should be this. All I have to do is just switch their name. So next item, item. So the next item should be current pages less than the total pages, and then we set the current page next +1, and this should also be prev, just to keep things clear. Here we have that. Let's go ahead and have a look. Oh, looks like the back button is the next button now. Okay, again, this is next button, obviously. That's why we are seeing the back button only. Now we see the both of the buttons. We even see the pages. So we got it right. So everything is working. Lucky we checked it already. So if there was some things the other way around, we fixed them. So this whole component is rendering the images, and wherever it's being called, we can use the props. And there's another shorter way of doing this. I can show you that. Like, you don't have to do everything inside where you're calling the component. You can do const items props and create an object here. So what you will do here, you get this and put it here, but obviously it's an object, we won't do that. We won't do that either. We'll just do a comma, and number of movies we are passing 10, so we'll give it 10. Movies on is false in this case because we are still checking the TV shows. TV show on is true. What else do we have? Item heading, so let's just copy this whole. Just make it an object, put a comma, show buttons. We have got all the 6 probe, 1 2 3 4 5 6, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna delete this. Again, you can see how do we render this. So whatever we want to pass to this, we can do this, and we can use the destructuring 3 dots with item props. So now we still got the shows. Let's refresh it. Loading is working, secret invasion is working. That's another way of doing it. Now if you want like 3-4 cards, you can have that. It can keep on going. You can change one endpoint of this to something else. Let's say if you want to change the endpoint, so we won't declare the endpoint here, we can manually add the endpoint here. Why did you go up there? So open the curly braces and end the curly braces. What do you mean? Did you mean what? Do we need a comma here? Let me just do it manually because getting confused with this. Okay, so that was for that, and let's go ahead and give it API endpoint. Which will be popular TV shows API key equal to again API key. Okay, so that stays within that, my bad. So there it is. That's how you can do that. Now what I'm trying to do is that keep those things as same, but changing these, like the popular shows here. And now what I want to do is change that to, in this case, I'll change the endpoint to a movie. So not movie, because then we will already have set up. So popular shows or top rated shows. We need to import this. Let's update the import. Let's remove them. So we have Hollywood movie. Let's name the first one popular shows, right? Also we should remove it from here, so we stay on right, we can tell which one we are actually rendering. So now inside this we are rendering popular shows, and over here we are rendering the top rated shows. So let's go back and refresh that. Popular shows, when these ends, let's render 5 so we don't have to scroll that much. 1 2 3 4 5. After 5 we have top rated shows. So top rated show, Breaking Bad is always on top. Can next it, back it, next, back. So that's working fine. But this is how we're gonna do it. We actually gonna create another common component which will store our cover image as well, because we haven't even created the cover yet. We haven't created this cover section and the search section. But now we're gonna create the cover section, and we're gonna create another component which we will name like something like common styles, which will be responsible for rendering 3 components inside it, and then we can simply use that component everywhere, so we don't have like a mess on our home page. And we will be using a helper function, so we're gonna do that next. And let's go ahead and delete this. So we know that our component is working and our fetching is working, everything is working. We'll do the CSS at the end when everything is done. Or actually, since we are already rendering this, let's just style this. So first thing first, we should add some space below our header. So let's go ahead into the styling file, styles. Display item to that side, not display item. So we're gonna keep the styles on one side, display item on one side, and I'm gonna start styling this. Gonna make it a bit smaller, not that small. So what we have here, first thing first, we have a movie wrapper which I'm already exporting, and then we have a movie class, a movie image. We have movie heading, movie card, loading overlay. So these are the classes that we're gonna style inside the movie wrapper. And let's go ahead and target the loading overlay first. So we're gonna go from top to bottom. So loading overlay, first of all, let's give common style to the whole campaign. So we're gonna display it as flex. Now you can see as I displayed as flex, it got that row, because by default flex direction is row, and then the heading is on to the left, if you cannot see it here. So left to right. Let's give it a flex direction of column line item to center. Border radius, we want to give our card a border radius maybe 10 pixels, and let's give them some margin from top, so it has some space from the top of the heading. Actually this is the whole movie wrapper, so it has some space from the header, because we're gonna give it some space like 5 rem. Now you can see it has a perfect space. Try padding 10. Give it some box shadow effect so we can know the whole container that stands out, just like this one, because inside my one I have given it a box shadow to the bottom only. So 0 pixel, 5 pixel. You don't have to really keep pixel to 0, you can just keep it 0. So -5, it will be RGBA. So 0, 0, 0, 0.5. Can we see the box shadow already? Not really, because it's 5 pixels and 0. Now we can see that. So we have the bottom effect. Now let's move on to the loading overlay. So loading overlay would be a fixed position, and it would be, we're trying to get that loading state into the middle. So let's position it absolute. Position absolute brings your div out of the boxing flow, so it's like free and it doesn't have that space. So what I mean is, this div have some space. If you make it absolute, it wouldn't have any space around it, so you can move it anywhere you want on the screen, because it's everything you see on a screen is just the boxes, so it just moves that element from out of that boxy flow. Top 0, left 0, basic property of absolute. If you want to bring something to the center with 100%, and height will give it vertical height of 100, so it's appear onto the whole page. And background color, let's give it some color of RGBA 3. This is the color that's actually been used over here. 337, 65, 0.4. And let's display it flex, because the loading overlay has a circular progress and a p tag, so we want to display them like one on the top, the circular progress on the top, and the loading at the bottom. So hence we have to give it a flex direction, and justify content center, because we want to bring it to the center. Align item to center. Now, okay, I'm refreshing the wrong website. There it is. You can see that it's in the center now, but reason why we're using flex, so we could get it out of the row flow, right? So what we have to do to get that loading underneath the circle, just one little property of flex, which is flex direction and column. There you go. So what column does, it brings the it's make the items in a column, right? So you see these are the columns, and by default they are in the row, so they will go to the right side. But when you use flex direction column, you can go to the bottom side. Let's give it a color of, we're gonna give it some z index, so it's always appear on top like a higher z index. Maybe one more. And inside this we also have a p tag, so we're gonna style that as well. This is the p inside it, which is loading. So we're gonna make the font size 2 rem. I think rather than p I could use h1, but let's just, because 32 pixel is 32 is the h1, but that's fine. It is what it is. Margin top 1 rem. So what will margin top will do, add some gap between both of them. Ooh, my font size, okay, because I'm doing p here. There you go. And I believe we should make our circular progress a bit bigger, so let's give it 70. It's cool that how the MUI component comes with the predefined style, so you can just change them here. You don't have to like create a manual class and then change it. 90 is too big, let's keep it to 80. So we have given it a margin. We're gonna add some letter spacing. No, I don't think we need letter spacing. Let's see how it looks like. Loading, it's perfectly fine. And we're gonna give it a font. So remember, we have imported some font families. So let's try this one. If you don't know what I'm doing here, just check out my previous video of this project. I have imported these styles font from Google Font. Loading. I don't really like the font. I'll make this one Roboto actually. Again, it's totally up to you. You can use any font you like. Yeah, that's much better. And next one. So that's done. What else do we need to do on the loading? Loading looks perfectly fine. I think I'm using a different style here. Yeah, I'm using Esme here. So let's try to use the same. Actually, that's not even Esme. That's the one that I didn't import this time. It's shadow into light. Wrong one. Yeah, it is Esme. So that's done. Now with that font, I think I still need some letter spacing, so maybe 2 pixels. Yep. So that's it. Loading overlay is done. And let's go ahead and move on to styling the next one, which is movie heading. Always go from top to bottom, guys, so you know what you're doing and you have like a way of organizing things on your code. So movie heading, we're gonna give it a width of 100%. Now it goes to the left because I want my movie heading to be onto the left side. Or maybe if I just try text align left, that wouldn't work because it's in a flex flow right now and it has just this much width, hence the width 100%. And that's it for this div. We're gonna target what we have, h1, and let's give it a text align left. What, isn't that already left? Can I move it to center? Yes, so we don't really need it. It's by default onto the left side. Margin bottom. I'm just giving it a margin from the bottom because when the images line up in a row and using the flex wrap, they're just gonna be like so close to that. So margin bottom 1.5 rem. And font family we gonna use for this one. Let's try to use this one. That, I don't know, that just doesn't look good. Yep, much better. So that's enough for the H1. Let's go ahead and move to the next one, which is movie car. My video is definitely going to be long because I have seen so many tutorials when I was learning. I've seen people do the coding part, but they never show how they did the CSS. They just copy pasted the CSS, like, okay, this is our CSS, this is my CSS file, I have attached the link, you guys can copy the CSS. So people who are doing front end, they also need to learn CSS. They need to see what is happening and how is it happening, right? So let's go ahead and do the movie. We're gonna display the movies as a flex. Boom, look at that, just with one property already coming up to life. So this movie card is flex, and justify content to center. So align items to not center, flex start, because when you have like 5-6 items here, your card will be like this, will be up, this will be down, because they will be aligning from the center. Some of the text would be bigger, but with aligning it from the, oh, you can already see that here. Now it's gone. So you will see that some card will be up down if you use center here. Let me just try it. Okay, now I'm not getting that movie there, which is bigger or shorter. Maybe next page. There you go. You can see that this is a small title and stuff, so we would like to do it text align to flex start. There you go. Now it's coming from the top, right? And then we will give it a fixed width so they all are aligned with each other. And we need flex wrap property here. Yes, we do want to wrap, not wrap reverse. So what flex wrap does, if you have more than like 1 2 3 4 movies right now, let's change it to, where is my app, 15 movies. This is what flex wrap does. Without flex wrap, what would happen here is it will just go to the right side, so you have to do horizontal scroll, right? Which is not a good practice, right? This is not how we look at the websites. And look at that, they are just so close to each other, so we use flex wrap. So it maintains the space and it just wraps the items to the next line. And now let's get on to the movie. Back to display. So now this div is a parent div of this whole all these divs inside it, all these classes inside this. So we're gonna keep it as parents, and we're gonna do the next classes, we're gonna target the next classes within this. So with what's the next classes? Movie. So that's gonna happen inside this div, movie. And we're gonna also use flex here. Flex is so beautiful, and if you start using flex and grid, then before flex box people used to have like inline blocks, and there was like so much to do with the styling, like centering div or aligning items properly. But ever since the flex been introduced, it becomes so easier. So flex justify content to the center, align item to center. And what are we doing right now is this. And flex direction, column again, because this is in the row. Cursor pointer, I don't even know whether we have to do that, because it was already like that, aligned like that, but I just like to keep things perfectly as they're supposed to be, right? So now we're gonna target image inside movie. Now we have movie class. Now the movie class becomes parent class of, let's see, why is it doing that? So the movie div is a parent div of movie image, movie info, yeah, 3 another classes. So we're gonna target the movie image inside this. Not img, it's movie image. Again, this is flex because it has 2 things inside it. It has a span, justify content always center, because we want to keep things center, align items center. Whoa. And flex direction to this also column. You can see that span has came below this. Now we can style it. We will give it a background so it start looking like this. Why did I give movie a cursor? We should give image a cursor, so when we hover over the image, it's like a, so it feels like that it's clickable. And now inside this we're gonna target our image. Border radius to the image, let's give it 10 px, 10 pixels. Border bottom right radius. This is to give that cool effect over here, this curvy effect. So we already have some border radius. Border top right radius, no, bottom. (25 pixels). Okay, we got that curvature. I'm gonna move this to this a little bit because it's going too much to the right. Let's give it a box shadow. 1 pixel, 1 pixel, 10 pixel, 1 pixel, and it will be black. So 0, 0, 0. Get a nice background, I mean all over the box shadow effect. Padding 5 pixels. There you go. Now we have that frame. You see that? You can see the image on this one is quite kind of bigger than that, but we'll come to that as well. I actually like the bigger one here. Now let's target that span inside the movie image class, and this gonna have some properties to actually align it where it is. Span border none. Let's give it a height 35 pixels. Again guys, when I first created that project, right, I'm not just like writing these numbers out of anywhere, because I have already done this, so I know these properties, what exactly the numbers are that I have to assign to that class. Because when I was creating this, it took me like a whole day to like just check which height should I give it to this, which I should. So over here I'm not just like fluking it, I already know these heights because I already done that project. So I'm trying to make it look like that one using the same properties from the other project that I already created. So width 35 pixels, border radius would be 360 because we want to make it round. I believe it should be, it's not round yet. Wait, am I even targeting span right? Because movie image, it has an image and then it has a span. So movie image has an image and then it has a span. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Let's give it a background color, which is a color I found on Color Platter, which is a website. It has so many different color, and it called F764249. Actually 429. What am I doing this? And looks like the border radius is not working because pixels not there. So we got that. Now we're gonna give it flex to align everything in the center. So justify content center, align item center, align self center. So what does align self does? When you already have flags in a parent div, you can actually use align self to align the child div wherever you want, because if the parent div is in the center, then you can change the position of the child. And that's done. Now we're going to give it a color of white. Okay, again my max battery is low. Let's put it on charging. Color's done. Gotta give it some padding inside. It's looking bigger. What font size should I give it? I should give it, let's try this one. Ooh, that, let's try to make it small then. Font size 20 pixels. Oh, that's making it more bigger. Looks like that font size for that font is really big. I don't know, that doesn't really look good. I should be importing the same font as that one, so that should be this one. Yep, now it's too small. The font size for this we should keep as 15 pixels. And now it's position. Time to position it in the middle at the bottom. So we're gonna keep it relative because we're gonna move it relative to the parent div. And I don't know why this is happening here. Because of this title. So we'll fix that in the future, but let's go ahead and change this to 20 pixels. Boom. Okay, I'm still doing something wrong. Why this card is like that? And we are gonna give it a hover effect as well. So when we hover over this, everything over the image, so it, why I'm doing it outside there, because we are doing it to the parent div. So and hover, transform, let's change the scale to 1.0.4. we don't want to make it that big. We should add animation to this so it looks nice. So let's go ahead and add transition, transform, 0.4 second ease in and out. Okay, actually that should be scale, not that. Nope. Okay, why this hover effect is not applying on this? Because this class is the move image class, yes. And I'm actually adding the hover effect on that one. Okay, that's weird. Transform scale is this, transition, or try animation. Oh, let's try to add this hover effect over the image only, then this. Oh, my bad. Come on, what I'm doing, I'm adding that in a span. So that would only happen if I hover over this span, right? And this should be on the which is the movie image. That's not the parent here. There you go, we got it. Here it is. So when you're adding an animation, it should be on the parent div and the div you're actually hovering at, because I am here hovering after the movie card, right? So this is the movie card, and if you see, this goes all the way down till here, and this blue closing braces is on movie image. So I have added that transition onto its parent, but it should be applying with this as well, right? Okay, so I think that has to be the higher class, the main parent class. So let's add it 5 seconds, but it's working. That's all that matters. There it is. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next class, which is movie info. And which is also part of that parent class, because this is movie card, right? And I am movie image. Movie is the parent of this, so that goes inside that. Or we can actually target it separately here. So let's see if that display flex. Yeah, so that's working. I mean, that's at the right position. Flex direction column. This is the easiest way to actually center everything. So I'm gonna use flex a lot. You will see me using flex a lot. Justify content center. Line items center. Margin top is 0. There's still a lot of gap here. Position relative, and let's move it to top form. If they're gonna cover up the gap with like position relative. It still has some gap. Why is that? H4 and P. Okay, yes, we will target that soon. Margin bottom be 0. There it is. So the gap's gone. And let's give it some width. I've got 230 pixels. Ooh. Text align center. Since this is H1 tag, what we're gonna do with this is, right now, if your movie title is too long, then we're gonna have this, because I provided a width, so it's not longer than that, and the text stays between that width space. And for that, we're gonna add white space to no wrap, so it won't even go to the next page if the text length is more than your. See, this should be applying to this, so let's go ahead and add one more property, which is overflow. Then we want to add the hidden, and we want to show the text as ... when the text is longer. So ellipsis. Now we got it. So here it is. You can see it's too long, so it's got she dot 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 and any other there. We can actually add a hover effect that can show the full, but let's go ahead and move to the p tag of this, which is the date in this case. Margin 8 pixel 0. So 8 pixel from top and bottom, 0 from the left and right, right? So I'll show you what it's doing. See that? It's bringing it more close, but we will add some space to these later on, don't worry about that. Color would be gray. Is the only color that can be spelled G-R-A-Y and G-R-E-Y, right? Weird. Border bottom MPX solid gray. So we're just giving a date underline like that. So you can see that it's started coming to life just like this one, but we are still getting there, and it has to be responsive because we are using Flex. So you can see it's pretty responsive already. I didn't even add any media query for this. Isn't that great? That's why you gotta love Flexbox. And I'm gonna make media queries to make it more responsive, but I don't know why these images, because did I make the images height too big, or let's try to give it a height. Ooh, that's too small. Maybe 100 would do that. Why is this here? Isn't that supposed to be underneath that? Because if I'm showing the buttons, then buttons should be, because the buttons are inside a flex property of that, right? Let's have a look at that. The button class is inside the movie wrapper. Looks like I have misplaced the button class here. It's supposed to be inside movies card, right? I've got movies card there. Okay, because I haven't added any style to the button. So let's go ahead and do something with the buttons. Border none. I'm just checking if any property is being applied to that. I'm not even targeting the buttons here. Let me give it a color. Background color red. Oh, okay. I'm, I'm targeting pages instead of button. Why is that? Div class name. Ah, okay. The button class is just ending here. All right, that's that's not buttons. Buttons is BT and Brave and BT and Next. So this div containing both the button and the page, hence it's just the div here, this div buttons. So let's go ahead and give it some flex. Why is it still next to the movies? I still don't get it. Where should I am not providing it a flex direction of column somewhere, which should be inside this div obviously, and that div is the movie card, and the movie card shouldn't have a flex direction because then it will just have all the movie card all over the place. Flex start, flex wrap, movie card. Okay, I'll do that later on. Let's just provide some styling to the buttons. Let's create our buttons and then I'll fix that issue as well. So we're gonna go to the buttons and give it justify content space evenly, not center, so we have enough space inside when the button is here, and align items to the center, give it a width 90%. There you go. So all I had to do is give it a width, and now it's already at its position. See, sometimes even the code impresses you. Yeah, like I say guys, I'm not a pro programmer. I'm still in the learning phase, so I'm just showing my knowledge to the ones who are still new to this kind of stuff. So I'm still learning a lot. I'm still learning CSS, I'm still learning React, I'm still learning JavaScript and TypeScript. I would say I'm still at platinum tier of PUBG. So you can see I'm a noob. Width 90, margin 10 pixel. Alright, now that we have that sorted out, we will give that page some styling. So I think we're just gonna add a text or a font family to this, because P is a part of the buttons. If you don't know what I'm doing is that, so I am targeting button class right here, and that button class inside the movie class. So that's why this curly brace is ending here, which is coming from all the way up here, movies card, right? So if you see here, the movie card starts from here and it ends here, and the button is inside that. So when you doing style components, it is like really good practice if you target your class like this, class within a class. So since buttons inside the movie class, I declared it up there, but now the P tag that I'm targeting is this inside the buttons. So I'm going to target that inside these curly braces of buttons, right? Reason of that, if I declare that P tag outside there, right, outside of the button flow, then if I have any P tags inside the movie card, it will just do the styling for all of them. So now I'm just telling CSS that hey, I am targeting the P tag inside the button class only, so only apply the style that I'm applying to that P class here. and add a cursor pointer. You can add any color you want, so I just thought of black because I have another color over there, but I don't really remember the AXIOS code for that one. So that's buttons done, and I think with that we have got all the classes covered up. Let's go ahead and have a look at this. Okay, so that's how the app is looking like right now. Next, and we have top rated shows. We should give it some margin from the left. Because yeah, you see that it's on the right hand side, all the way to the right. So we're gonna give some margin to the heading, just like this one here. Where is my heading? There are so many classes. 3 rem. There it is, perfectly aligned on top of that. Okay, I think so. I should remove that height from there. So let's get rid of this height, and we're gonna keep it as it is right now, and the margin is too much for the heading, so we're gonna go to the heading class, movie heading, margin left, let's give it 1 goes too much to the left side. Yeah, and we also need some margin here because this is too close to the movie card. See, so this is, where is the movie class? It should be movie class. Margin bottom should be 2 rem. Yep, let's add a little bit more, make it another 16 pixels. And now we have got a card that looks really nice. Now you can see that we have got buttons here, and what I'm gonna show you that how we can choose not to display this button by just using a boolean value, right? So over here, show buttons, let's get it out of there as well, so we can manually pass it here whether we want to show it or not. So show button should be true in this case, right? And but you can see that I've removed it from here. The destructure method is still asking that, hey, you only have these props that you're passing inside the destructure method, right? But I'm still expecting a show button props, which you're not providing me, so we're gonna manually give it to that. And in this case I'm gonna set it to false, remember. So the first one is true for the popular shows, and the top rated shows it's false. So now we will see that the button is only visible. Let me just change the number of movies to like 5, 10 maybe. Let's just change it to 6. So as you can see now, the popular shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and next the button is here. But if we go to top rated shows, we don't see the button. So by just passing one boolean value, you can control wherever you're rendering your component whether you want to show the buttons there or not. And that's happening because the display item component has this condition, show buttons, and now I'm passing this condition as a prop here, which is a boolean, and it's being passed to display item. So wherever the display item is rendered, it will ask that you have a prop show buttons, do you want to use that or not? So in this case where we are rendering it here, I'm telling you that, hey, I have a show buttons prop, I want to use the buttons, so true. But I don't want to use the button, so false. Hence here we have the button Yeah, we don't have the buttons. And that's it. So we have got that working. We don't need that. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create our cover section. So we haven't created the cover section. We have got the movie section. Now all we have to do is just pass a different endpoints. So for example, let's go ahead, display it again, and here we will pass it popular movies. I will import it. The IntelliSense will automatically import it, and the endpoint I'm passing is popular. So that means it's now searching the endpoint for popular inside the API link. Popular is the movies, and I'm gonna change the title popular movies, and I will show the buttons here true, because we can have more than 6 popular movies, right? So here we have the popular movies, and we are getting invalid date here for the popular movies. Why? Because here, if you go back here, you can see that I am using the shows endpoint, right? So I am telling this that the TV show is on, so this is true. So what's happening here is I'll also have to remove this from there. So the TV show true means that I am getting the endpoint for TV shows. So let's just write that, and I will talk about this. TV show on is no comma. So I am getting this endpoint for a TV show, right? This is the popular TV shows, and then I'm telling that TV show is on at this prop. The TV show prop is on is true, which means I am passing it a TV show props. I want to render a TV show, not a movie. And that's happening if you go into the display component, TV show on, and so this is gonna be the info here. So since the TV shows has a different prop like name and first air date, so it's saying it's invalid because it doesn't recognize that, because I am rendering TV shows and over here I'm passing a movie prop. So movies has a title and a release date. TV shows has name and first air date, so they're clashing. And if I come here, since that's also a TV show, I will pass this prop here. Okay, not outside that. And here I will pass TV show as, if I say true, now you'll see again it will say invalid, because it's looking for over here, that endpoint is looking for title and the release date, but it's getting here is the name and release date, so it's saying invalid. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make TV show false and make the movie, remove the movie from there, and we also have to use it here then. So I'll copy this. This is false because we are using the shows. This is the only condition where we are using the movies API, so this has to be true. And now you can get the names Barbie, Flash, Transformers. So you can see that I need to make the H1 text so small because this is like clashing with the other one. So H1 movie info. Weird, I didn't even add a font size to this. 20 pixel. That's big. So by default I think it's 16 pixels. We make it 12. that's too small. 14. Yep, that looks better. Next, this one doesn't have pagination because I set the show buttons to false. This one does because here over here show buttons is true. Yeah, looks like I have so much margin from top here, but yeah, that's enough. So let's go ahead and create our cover component. Cover, what should we name this? Let's name this cover page. RESCE, oh shit, my bad. And inside the cover, what we're gonna do is we wanna have an image, a title, and a little sentence or paragraph, and an em tag, just for like a catchy phrase, also a search bar. So yeah, let's go ahead and try to create the style for this. We will name it cover. Again, you may have already seen in the previous section, this is me defining it because this is going to be a styled component that will be coming from this, and I'm only using one file for all my common styles. So header files inside this, and display items starts. So this is the one that's displaying our movies. Since now it has ended, display movies ends. Now we're gonna go here, give it a different color, cover page starts. I'm doing that because there's so many things here, so rather than scrolling I can just search cover page and I can take me to the cover page starting here. And let's do that already so we don't have to declare it again. Ends. Let's export cover, again making the same mistake, const cover style.div. We're gonna treat it as div, the literals, and there it is. Now it's a div, not div. Now we may have access to that. Why cover? Okay, so we will import it now. Import cover from there, and now I want screen. And what do we want inside our cover? We're gonna have a cover text with the h1 inside it, and a description and a catchy phrase, and also we will be passing them as a prop, right? So wherever we are using the cover, it will be a different on a different page. We can change these heading and images via props. So let's go ahead and create a class cover text h1 title. Right now I'm just writing title here, but we will dynamically get this via props. Then we'll have p description, and we'll have ma catchy phrase. Should we name it like a phrase? Let's name it catchy phrase. I hope that's how you spell phrase. And now we're gonna have a search bar here. Again, this will come from the style component. Const export search bar style dot div. So that's where the search bar will come from, and inside the search bar we're gonna have an input, input type search and have a placeholder search thousands of movies, thousands or yeah 10,000 of movies, that self-closing. Let's import this as well. Search bar, oops, and a button, actually an HTML button which will say search. Okay, so we're gonna pass these probes, and we also conditionally wanna render the search bar. As you can see in now playing, I'm not showing the search, but at home I'm showing the search. So let's go ahead and get the props for this. So up here we can define the types for the props that we're gonna pass. In TypeScript, this is a must that you have to do, so we're gonna use interface cover props, title would be a string. Again, this is not the title from the API, this is just for the cover, so I'm just naming it title. You can name it whatever you want. Description is again string. I think most of the stuff here will be string, so catchy phrase, let's just copy this. Oh, I have description twice, okay, no worries. And image that we also gonna pass via props, header image, that will be string. And we should also have show search, whether we want to show the search when we call this component in another component, which will be a boolean value, and show header image, which will be another boolean, whether we want to show a header image or not. So we're gonna pass this here just like before. How we do that, we do it with react dot functional component inside these your cover props, and now you pass those again here. Title, it will just tell you title, what am I doing, title, description, catchy phrase, header image, show search, and show header image. Okay, I already got that. Control, shift option F to format it, and now this can be removed with the title, or you can just put this header image. I didn't actually declare an image tag inside this, right? Yeah, so we're gonna conditionally render the image. So what we're gonna do is show header image, and img source would be also be passed via prop header image, alt we'll just name it image. So we have got a title that will come from here, and description and em tag that will also come from here, and the image will be coming from here, right? And the search will be from here. Right, now we got that. we can now style this. So let's go to the style modules again. I will split them. Cover page, and if we can go down to, so first thing first, cover image, we show search. I didn't use show search. Okay, so show search would be used. Show search and or else you would add these. Okay, not like that. Show search and this is gonna come out of there. Cover needs to come out of this. Let me just do it again. Show search and this whole search bar. There we go. So everything is working. I hope the app has no console error. For each child list prop, each child analyst should be a unique prop method. So what is that for? Looks like I'm not using a key prop in display component. Where is the key prop? I've got the key prop here as well. Move the key prop. Maybe let's try to move this. No, but that cannot go anywhere, so we can do that. But it doesn't tell me where exactly that key prop needs to be used, because I'm mapping so many different functions here. Display items, add display items, add app. Okay, so there are two. So it has to be at the display item. Maybe that's not the place where we should use the key prop. Of course, you cannot use the I have got a key prop here. I don't really need that. What else I'm mapping here? It's only been used once. Here I've got a key prop inside the drawer. I think I have got a key prop, yes. So display is telling that I'm not using a key prop. Maybe that's for the TV shows, I guess. but I have ID already for both of them. Let's make this a div and give this that. If that doesn't work, then okay, that removed that warning, but now we have another one. Oh, there we go. Okay, we got it. And now it took a while. As I told you before, I'm not a pro. I still have to think about it and look at the code properly, what's actually going on there. See, everything is possible. Just gotta look at the code, guys. Just read and understand the code and just try different things. And it's just, once it's clicked, you just love it. So we got rid of that. And I even forgot what we were doing next. Yeah, we were styling that cover image. So here what we're gonna do is start with the cover text first. Let's give some default styling to this text align center. We want it width to be 80%. Again, if you're wondering, I'm just writing these out of nothing. It's just because I've already done this, so I know the styles. This is 80% width, text align to center. And before, like now I'm just writing it because I already have these properties, but when I was doing it, I had spent like whole day to just get the perfect styling, because I didn't have any Figma design. So I just created like, oh, let's try to give it 80% width. Does it look nice? Yes, it looks nice, so let's keep it 80%. That's how I've been doing it. And margin would be 18 pixel auto 0. This is to keep that in center. With the width of 80%, it will just move to the left hand side, but margin 80 from the top and this auto from the left to right will keep it in the center, and 0 from the bottom. And we will give it a position relative and text transform capitalization. So that's for the text. So you can write however you want to write your string, but it will automatically change it to capitalization like this. Now we have cover text. And position of the cover text will be absolute. Color. Actually, let's just declare it so we know what we're doing it. Let's just call it in header component. Let's quickly import that probes, and we should see that somewhere. And let's go and do it again. Title, hello, no rem ipsum, not even ipsum. Yeah, it is there. We cannot see the title because it's underneath the header. Let's give it some br tag here. Okay, looks like that's not gonna work here, so we are gonna call this on the app page, app component. Before, right underneath header, we're gonna give some br tags here. Let's try to call it first cover page, and obviously it's gonna ask me for probes, which I'll just use the IntelliSense and hello, how are you? Description of Bilorem ipsum. Catchy phrases. You never stop coding. So here we have that, and now we'll style it along so we can see it what we actually doing, right? So position, should we actually give it a background image first? So let's go ahead and download a free image from Uplash. Now playing. Let's just get something for movies. I'll just use this movie, it doesn't really matter, the height and width will change that. So let's download this. Now we can go ahead and inside our asset folders we can drag that image. So now we have got that image. We can come back there and let's import that image inside this. Actually we're using it in here, so we'll pass it as prop here. So let's rename that image something that which is easy to write. img. So I'm gonna import cover picture from assets, and this is what we are importing. Now since we are importing the first image, here is a problem that we have. Because we have to create a module.ts file, and the TypeScript doesn't really recognize what I'm importing, what is JPEG or whatever it is. So what we're gonna do is inside the modules folders, new files called modules.d.ts, and over here we're gonna tell TypeScript that I'm declaring a module which is use the star key and .jpg. See, once I did that, the app is okay now, it's not screaming. Let's have a look at that again. If I control Z, you will see, okay, I think you only have to do once, and okay, now it's screaming again. So you see that what it is saying is cover picture is declared but its value is never wrote, and it's saying cannot find module. When you see this error, cannot find module asset img or its corresponding type declaration, that means you have to create a file with modules.d.ts, and inside that you have to declare that module, that what you're actually doing, what you have to tell TypeScript that it's a JPEG. So that would be star.jpg. And if you have like an image with PNG, then you just write PNG. Let's say you have an SVG, they can be different format, right? So that's what you do. PNG, JPEG as well. I mean, I'm not going to use all of that format, but just for future references. Now we have cover image, and the image is gonna be the cover image. Okay, we are not seeing the image because we haven't added any style to that, but the header image will be this image here that's coming from the asset folder, which will be this image. I'll fix that in a minute. So Let's go ahead and get back to the styling of cover page. And inside the cover text, we'll start off with positioning. Position absolute, because the color text, the text inside that cover, we want it to be in the center, so we should be able to move it around the image, on top of the image. Color will be FFF, which means white, and with the absolute positioning, it's gone from there, but we'll get back to that. Top, let's do the image first then, rather than doing this first. $300 pixel. Why are you not showing the image with 100%? Oh, show header image is false, my bad. See, this is how it can be tricky sometimes, and I'm trying to like give image a height and width. This should be true. There it is. Come on. Again, you just gotta have a really good look at your code when you're not getting something that you're expecting. Just recheck the code and you will definitely find the error. Now that we have image, we can work with the text as well. So let's get back to the cover text. We have got color white, and oh no, we don't want white for now. We'll just give it a background color so it stands out. Yep. And let's give it a top 45% and left 50%. That's not in the center, so we will use transform translate. This is a really old way of centering something. 50% and minus 50%. So what is that doing is it's moving that from x-axis to y-axis to minus 50%, right? So now you can see it's perfectly in the center. It will be perfectly centered if I do top 50, but since I have a height, so I would just keep it 45%, because that looks nice, because I've changed the height of the image as well. And let's do the width 100%, so this div expands. There you go. And time to display, flex to center everything. If I do flex, it will by default, the flex direction is row. You can see that it will just align it to the row, so we have to give it flex direction column. Now we'll be back to its same behavior. Justify content will be space evenly. Or let's try space between, just to see if it's even doing anything. No, because we don't have a height to this, right? Yes, so that's not going to do anything unless I provide it a height. So height 30%. Now you can see. So it's going to be space evenly. Let's get rid of the background color and change this to red instead. Add some text shadow, 1 pixel, 1 pixel, 3 pixel, and black color. We want to have a font to this, so we'll add the font Roboto. And letter spacing, let's see if we even need letter spacing. Yes, we do, because the text could be longer. So letter spacing maybe 1 pixel, and let's give it a line height 1.5. Oh, that's actually too low. Let's give it 0.5. That's getting too close. 1 is enough. Now we're gonna have a look at the H1. So if we go to the cover page, we have got a cover text. We go to H1, P, and EM. So here we have an H1. We also got P. We also got an EM. So font size 3 rem. Okay, we don't want to give the whole all P tag, aim tag, and H1 the same font family, so we'll just apply that to the H1. And for the P tag, we'll give it a font size 20 pixels. And this video is gonna be so long. I wonder if anybody's even gonna watch it, but if you are watching it, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you're watching up to this point, you're a legend. Font size, margin top 10 pixels. So with that, and now we're gonna add a color, like a fading color on top of the image, just like this one. If you guys see that they have like a bluish color on their app, so we're gonna try doing that by adding an before element to the cover text. So this is image. When did I get out of cover text? This is my cover text. Excuse me, image, you should be inside the cover text or not. Oh, actually it's not, it's outside that, so my bad. With this one, let's add an after element to that, and content will be empty. Position absolute, top 0, left 0, width 100%, height also 100%. Background color would be RGBA, and it would be 337, the color we used before for the header, I think 65, and 0.8. Oh, we got it. There you go. Now we have the nice color, but the thing is that color is applying on the whole div, so we got the color onto the text as well, which shouldn't be happening. So I'm applying that at the wrong place, I guess. Okay. And the image height is there, width is that. That's so the image. Why the text is getting darker as well? That shouldn't be happening, because that should be outside that, right? It should be outside that cover text. Yes, I am outside the cover text. Image is also outside the cover text, so what I'm doing wrong here again? Image cover text is this, and the image is inside cover, right? So image should have that. Let's try to move this to the image only. We have got a position which is absolute, that's why it's there. Top is 0, width is there. We've got this color there. It has to be 0.8. If we go 1, that doesn't really do anything. 7.